Hola a todos, ¿qué tal? Soy Animación y estamos aquí en el Festival de San Sebastián, en un set patrocinado por Legado Ibérico y en el que vamos a entrevistar a talento nacional e internacional. Tenemos también con nosotros a Sole de la Rosa y nos acompaña en la distancia Fred Film Radio. Dentro de un ratito vamos a probar jamón, pero ahora vamos a hablar con Adam Elliot, director australiano de la película Memorias de un caracol, Memories of Snail. Welcome to San Sebastián, Adam.
Thank you.
How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, I've just been on a plane for 30 hours, but I'm okay. Yeah.
But here you're going to be treated really well, I promise you.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You have taken 15 years to do this film since your debut. Why take you so long?
Well, it wasn't meant to take so long. I mean, animation is slow, but not this slow. So, I mean, look, things got in the way. COVID. Raising the money for an independent animated adult claymated film is very difficult. So that took a long time. I'm also a really slow writer, so I did 16 drafts of this script. I'm very fussy, I'm a perfectionist. So, I was giving a talk to some little children the other day, and they said, "How long does it take you to make a film?" I said, "Oh, many, many years." And this other girl put up her hand. She said, "Well, I've worked out you've only got 2 left, and then you'll be dead."
What has been the most challenging thing about Memoirs of a Snail?
Well, I think this film, compared to my others, has a lot more subject matter that is challenging. We deal with homophobia, we deal with religion, suicide. There's a lot of adult challenging subject matter in there, and so it was trying to write a script that was, had a lot of darkness in it, but also we wanted to have a lot of comedy and a lot of humor, and so I think the challenge was getting a balance between the dark and the light. Yeah.
Also, you like to warn on your Instagram in your bio says adults only, which is something that we can apply to your films. I remember that Guillermo del Toro used to say a lot during the Oscar season with Pinocchio that animation is a technique, it's not a genre. Do you agree
Oh,
with that?
absolutely. I'm so glad Guillermo said that in his Oscar speech, because I've always believed that animation isn't a genre, it is just a medium. And I get asked all the time, well, I get emails from parents who are angry with me saying, "Your films aren't for children." I said, "No, of course they're not for children. Why are you showing your children my films?" So it's something I've always had to battle against, but it's great that people like Guillermo, Wes Anderson, Tim Burton, they're all making films that are, have an adult flavor to them, and that makes my life easier.
And also Miyazaki.
Oh yeah, Miyazaki, of course, and a lot of Eastern European animation, Jan Schwankmeyer. It is a lot of Estonian animation that's always been for adults, So it's great that it's changing. Yeah.
Your films have a bigger audiences in Australia, in Europe. How has been so in Memoirs of a Snail in Telluride?
Yeah, look, I've just got back from America, and Americans are very strange people, and getting them to understand my films has always been a challenge. But they were wonderful. The film had a really great response, and I was so relieved, because just the Australian accent can be hard to understand, and sometimes Australian films will have subtitles so the Americans can understand what we're saying. But no, it went really well, and we've got a theatrical release in America coming up at the end of October. So, yeah, America's been great so far.
I love about your films and Australian films that they're kind of quirky because you never know what's going to happen next. The tone of the film here we have comedy, drama, sex also. How is navigating that, knowing how to tell this precise story?
Well, I think, as a writer and director, it's our job to push the boundaries, because I learned very early that if an art form can die if it's not constantly challenging its audience. But, in this film, there's an orgy. There's stuff that is confronting. There's a gay conversion scene. There's a suicide attempt scene. So, I really want the audience, by the end of the film, to come out of the cinema an emotional wreck. I want them to not just laugh, but to have cried, and to come out feeling somehow optimistic as well. The film has a lot of darkness in it, but I don't want to depress the audience. I really want them to come out of the cinema feeling uplifted.
Is there any kind of conversation you would like to start with this film?
Well, look, I've always had a problem with organised religion, so there's some subject matter there. But look, I don't want to offend anybody. I want the audience to enjoy themselves as well. I want the film to be entertaining. And stop motion in the past hasn't really dealt with this sort of subject matter, and luckily things are changing, as we said earlier. Yeah.
You have done two films. I read in an interview where you said that you like to think in three. Uh, are you considering about your next film? Are you thinking about that?
Yeah, when I was at film school, I came up with this very pretentious idea of making a trilogy of trilogies: three shorts, three long shorts, and three features. So I've made seven of the nine, so I've only got two left, and then I can die. So, yeah, the next film, I've already got the story in my head. I've just now got to put it on paper. Yeah.
How do you feel about the Oscar race? Because now you have been in Telluride, and 20 years ago you won an Oscar for a short film. Are you ready to talk about Memoirs of a Snail for 6 months?
Well, look, I think, the Academy Awards, winning an Oscar all those years ago was a lovely thing, but, I never planned for that. And when I make a film, I try not to think about festivals or awards or competitions. I really just want to, the best thing about being a filmmaker is experiencing the film with an audience and sitting up the back, and you're in the dark and you're hearing people laugh, and it's very rewarding after all those years of work. So for me, that's the best reward and the best prize, is actually knowing that the film has worked with an audience, and that's not just worked in Australia, but in America and Sweden and Japan. I think every director just wants the film to work with an audience, and any awards that come afterwards is icing on the cake. Yeah.
We can hear in this film to Sarah Snook, to Cody Smith McPhee, Eric Bana again, to Jackie Weaver. Do you like the process of directing these voice acting performances?
Yeah, I love directing actors because, they come in for a very short period of time, very little rehearsal. There's no makeup, no costume. They love that they don't have to dress up or anything. But, the real actors are the animators, and they're the ones who spend, a year in the dark moving these little characters around frame at a time, and they're the unsung heroes. But having said that, Sarah Snook and Jackie Weaver and Cody have brought such authenticity and fantastic performances. Within seconds, the audience sort of forget that this is Sarah Snook, and she really does become Grace. And yeah, I'm so lucky. I've had such a great bunch of actors. We even got Nick Cave, which I don't know if Nick Cave's a big name in Spain. I'm sure he is, but
He is.
he's from Melbourne and Victoria, so we're very lucky to have him. Yeah.
I think it's really impressive that you have done this film with almost $5 million. Would you like to do a bigger film, or you are comfortable working
No, I'm
in this
I'm
side?
very uncomfortable with my budgets. They're always too low. For example, in this film, because our budget was so low, we couldn't do walking. That's why Grace has no legs. So we do the Muppet effect, so the character just walks on like this. And there's very little talking as well, because lip sync's very, very slow and expensive. So I've always had to compromise with my budgets, and it's tricky. So with the next film, we definitely are trying to get more money, and so we can do some walking. Yeah.
The film starts with Grace reading her memoir. Do you see yourself writing your own memoir? Maybe in a graphic novel?
I think I'm too boring to have a memoir. I'm a very boring person. I spend a lot of time in my room drawing pictures. Like a lot of animators, we lead very dull lives. I think my characters are me. They're based on my family and friends, but my films are very autobiographical. So there's a lot of myself in Gilbert and in Pinky, and making the films is very cathartic, and it's almost a form of therapy. I get out all my angst and all my anger through my art form, so I'm very lucky. Yeah.
Pinky, I think she's such a scene stealer. It's not really common to see this kind of depiction of elderly people. Was that something that attracted to you?
Yeah, look, I've always loved that film Harold and Maude, and I've loved eccentric characters and elderly eccentric characters. characters who are not just wise but very colourful and funny. So Pinky is based on several people in my life who, I have a lot of elderly friends who are quite odd and quirky, and so Pinky's an amalgamation of all of them, and I think Pinky's a character we all want to become. And Sarah Snook said this to me recently. She said, I said, "You enjoy playing Grace?" She said, "Oh, really? I really want to be Pinky. Pinky's the character I want to be." So Pinky, I think, she's very universal and represents a character that we all probably aspire to be.
In what moment of the production did you record the voices with the cast?
Well, in animation, we usually have to get the actors in first and then animate to their voice. But because my films have a lot of voiceover and narration, we didn't have to get Sarah in until much later. So we got her in about 5 or 6 times, Cody the same. We never had the actors all in the same room at the same time. Every actor was recorded separately by themselves. We had a fantastic cast, and they almost directed themselves. Yeah.
You won this year again at Annecy. How important is the festival for your career and for animation in general?
Well, look, Annecy is the Cannes of animation, and winning any prize at Annecy is incredibly important to any animator or director's career. And so to have now won the Crystal twice is very important, because it helps me get funding from our government in Australia. Australian films are propped up by government funding. We're very different to America. I mean, we're similar to here in Spain and France and Germany. We need government funding to make our films. So it's been wonderful to win at Annecy. But again, winning a prize is like a bottle of good wine. You enjoy it, but the next day you got to move on. You got to hangover and move on. And I try not to think of awards.
Do you see yourself working in Hollywood?
Well, I've been to Hollywood many times, and I've got a lot of friends there, and I have an agent. But every time I go to LA, I think, well, it's not as bad as I've thought it is. I'm very happy in Australia. We certainly trying to bring money into Australia for me to make my films. We don't have enough financing in Australia to make the films. I'd like to bring Hollywood money into Australia, into Melbourne.
Cool. We have arrived to the fun part of the interview. Sole, por favor.
Well, I get to eat
un poquito de jamón.
Right. jamón. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, right. It's been in the sun. Is that okay?
It's okay. It's okay. We get it all the time, so it's fresh.
I'm a vegan.
Oh. We to sum up the interview with one final question. Who would you like to share one tapa of jamón, for example? A filmmaker, an actress? Who?
Well, yesterday when I arrived, I saw Javier Bardem get out of a limousine. And of course, I just remembered that he's married to Penelope Cruz, and so I'd love to have some jamón with those two. Yeah, it'll never happen, but
you never know. You never know. Yeah. Thank you very much. I wish you a lot of luck in the Oscar race, but with the film that everyone gets to see it and feel moved by it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Yeah.
Muchas gracias. Seguimos con más entrevistas en Kinótico y recordad que podéis ver Memorias de un caracol el 31 de enero en los cines. Gracias.